This is primarily a Let's Play channel, however since I don't think racing games are well suited for the Let's Play format for various reasons, I thought I could do a little mini review rather than a full Let's Play on the last game I played, which was the Need for Speed. Before I continue, I'd like to mention that cutscenes did not work in my playthrough of this game, so I don't have any knowledge of any plot, if this game even has a plot. I've never played a Need for Speed game before playing this one. I chose this as my first Need for Speed game to play because I try to play games chronologically, and this is the first game in the Need for Speed series. The version I'm playing is the special edition for PC, which runs faster than the original release and tons of extra content. Digital Foundry made a great video on it. If you want to check it out, then it'll be linked in the description. But if you're watching my video, then you probably already watched theirs. My first impression of this game was how charming it all looked. At the time of its release, this game was definitely impressive, but nowadays I look at the low-res, dithering image being displayed in front of me on a modern panel only to think, wow, this still looks really good. I love how the low-resolution, pixelated backgrounds look against the low-poly scenery. I love how wavy and wobbly it looks. It's an art that we sadly don't get anymore. Every track is visually pleasing, and while some tracks kinda look similar to one another, there is still a lot of variety to be had. I especially love the time of day change, even though it only makes everything look orange. The soundtrack in this game is quite good, which you wouldn't suspect considering that this game originally didn't even have music. Yes, you heard that right. Originally, this game did not have music. This game was released for the 3DO, the MS-DOS, PlayStation 1, Microsoft Windows, and the Sega Saturn, but only the PlayStation and the second release of the Windows version came with music. Have a listen. Bad joke that dates the video aside, who really listens to the in-game music when playing a racing game? I always preferred turning on my own music, so music has never been an issue for me in any racing game that I've played, so while I can't comment on the actual soundtrack this game has, I'm sure it's fine. Since I suck at video structure and transitions, I would like to now go over my thoughts on every track individually. First we have the city, which is pretty standard affair. I like how the sound changes when you go under a bridge. And I really like this part where you go under this tunnel. There's also this pretty cool bridge set piece, which flows so well with the level that I honestly didn't even notice that this bridge was here when I first played it. Next we have Coastal. I love how the sunlight shines through the windows here. I especially love this part where you go through this forest. You wouldn't expect a set piece like this in what is supposed to be a coastal beach-like setting. This tight turn that you have to take around this lighthouse is pretty cool. And at the end of the third race, you're greeted to an eerie and surreal view of a sunken Statue of Liberty. Now the Alpines. I love how hilly this track is. You just go up and down and up and down. It's very exhilarating. I also like this train, but I like this train more. This bridge is awesome. I love how much it stands out. The orange is a nice change of pace from all the green. This part where you can see the mountains over the lake and forests is very beautiful, but my favorite thing about this track is the visual clue that you are climbing an altitude, with the snow that gradually appears throughout the track, with the final race ending in a beautiful winter wonderland. There's also this cave or whatever, but I'm not very good at it. Onto Rusty Springs. This is the easiest and shortest track in the game. This track also really shows off how prominent this game's rubber banding can be at times. Look at this, I am literally lapping cars with the fastest vehicle in the game. I shouldn't have this blue dot trailing me. Now for Autumn Valley. This track is beautiful in its simplicity. What you see is what you get. It's a standard racetrack. None of the turns are too difficult, and while it looks the same throughout with no real set pieces, it has the most beautiful time of day change in the game. I love riding in the Porsche 911 Carrera on this track's morning setting. It's simply a relaxing track that you don't have to think too hard to race on.
Burnt Sienna. This is one of the coolest tracks in the game. I love this mining set piece where you enter this tunnel to come out into the cave below. The dirt on the side of this track here actually helps your vehicle turn, so it encourages taking sharp corners. As soon as you leave the cave, you are greeted to a wooden bridge and a waterfall, and the sound is amazing. You then enter this canyon section, and it all just works. It all flows so well. This might actually be my favorite track in the game. Next up is Vertigo Ridge. This may be my favorite track in terms of aesthetics. I love the fog over the lake. I love this forest. I love these tunnels you occasionally pass through. And I love this little village. It's such a pleasant track that gives me nice vibes. I would love to go somewhere like this in real life. However, there is this one part where I swear the fastest way to do it is to run straight into the wall and run over the signs telling you to turn left. I know that looks sloppy, but I beat this game to completion, and I swear that's the best way to do that turn, unless I just suck at this game. The penultimate track is Transtropolis. I have mixed feelings about this track. I like this track visually, especially this factory set piece at the start, but this level forces you to slow down a lot. There's this corner you can only make if you cut your speed in half. And there are two sharp inclines that are right after one another. If you don't slow down at these inclines, you will crash your vehicle. This is probably the most trial and error track in the game. I can race on it fine now, but that's only because I've played on it over a dozen times. Last but definitely not least, god, that's such a cliche way to introduce the last of something, is Las Vegas. This track is only unlocked once you complete tournament mode. It's a very long, gorgeous track where every turn is easy to make. This is basically a free-for-all track. This is the game saying, go on, let your heart out. Go as fast as you want, you've earned it. It's a great track for seeing what each vehicle's top speed is. Speaking of the vehicles, let's go over them now. Honestly, there isn't much to say about the vehicles. Some vehicles are slower than others, some vehicles have better acceleration, some handle better, some handle worse. What you see is what you get pretty much. I do love how every car has its own individual interior though, and they're actually accurate to the models they're representing. It's so charming to see this and I love it. A car that I will go over though is the Porsche 911. This car is just so bizarre in this game. You can tell the developers tried to balance the vehicles the best they could, but they totally bombed the Porsche. The Porsche handles poorly, is slow, and has worse acceleration than every other Class B vehicle. And it's the only car in the game where I will suddenly and randomly spin out for no reason. This doesn't happen with any other vehicle. But all in all, this game controls beautifully. It's just the Porsche that doesn't for some reason. Well, that's every track down and pretty much everything I have to say about the vehicles. I know it's sudden to end the video here, but I honestly didn't expect it to get this long. My original plan for this video was maybe a quick 2 or 3 minute video with some visual gags here and there. You know, nothing too serious, but this ended up turning into a full review. Aw shit, do I have to give a rating? Aw man, what should I use to represent my scale? I rate this game 4 roadkill Winnie the Poohs out of 5. See you on the silver lining.